Hello everyone, Callum from Cagefront here. We are back recapping UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, where we're going to be recapping the highs of the highs with Justin Gaethje getting into the win column and the lows of the lows with Alex Pereira losing his title. No Sharma. Now, with the main event, let's start off with the kick in the nuts, which is Alex Pereira losing. And you're probably also wondering, why are you wearing a hat? And it's because my hair is as messy as the predictions that I made for this video. So moving on. Alex Pereira had a good first round. Did have a good first round. Landed a lot of lead outside leg kicks, as I thought he was going to be able to do. He was not telegraphing them, doing everything that he was supposed to within that first round, and he took that first round. The second round, Alex Pereira started getting backed up hard. Got backed up badly, and to the point where he was against the cage. And as I said in my last video of him versus Ankalaev and me thinking that Pereira would annihilate him, which he didn't, Ankalaev did a fantastic job of pressuring him against the cage and swarming him where his head could not move, and that's where he caught Pereira. He caught Pereira really nicely at the end of that second round, and arguably, honestly, the bell did save Pereira. Now, moving through the third and the fourth, Pereira leg kicks were still going strong. By about the fourth round, he had like 30 to 40 leg kicks, and I got to give it to Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, the guy did not check for shit, but he was not limping. He was not struggling, and that's where credit is due. He kept pressuring forward, putting Pereira on the back foot. And when Pereira is getting consistently pressured backwards, he is not at his best, especially when you're going against a guy like Magomed Ankalaev, who has the strike speed advantage with the hands. And that's where Ankalaev was doing a good job in terms of catching him. Now, through the fourth to the fifth, yes, Ankalaev, he won the fourth round, arguably could have won the fifth. I give that to Pereira. A 48-47 for me. You can argue the 49-46. But Ankalaev, man, you are gaining absolutely no new fans with this performance. The first to the second round, through to that third round, what he was doing, his ability to forward pressure and actually land shots and actually trying to land, he was looking fantastic. But the problem was, through the championship rounds, he was just grinding Pereira against the cage. Now, am I slating him for doing that in terms of a fan base perspective? Yes. Am I slating him that in terms of a game plan? Absolutely not. That is a fantastic game plan to make because it cuts off Alex Pereira's power. And as I mentioned in that Ankalaev video of him being annihilated, if he is able to cut off Pereira in that dirty boxing, that very short range, he is going to have the advantage, and so he did. He did a very good job there. He is the new champion of light heavyweight, and coming off that draw that he had against Jan Blachowicz, you know, this just makes it a lot sweeter for him. Not the best performance overall, but going against a guy like Alex Pereira, I mean, that's kind of the safe performance you really need to be having so you're not getting chinned, because Pereira through the fourth to the fifth was landing some pretty nice shots. Stunned him with a head kick, stunned him nicely with a jab as well. But Ankalaev, he did more. He was just the more well-rounded guy, which he is. And we've got to give credit where credit's due, though, for Alex Pereira. Stuffed all 12 of Ankalaev's takedowns, but his ability to try and get out of that clinch-based exchange, it just wasn't enough, and the time was ticking down. Yes, it made it a boring fight from Ankalaev's perspective, and that's where all those boos were definitely coming from. But at the end of the day, he's the champion, and Alex Pereira is not. Now, where the hell does Alex Pereira go from here? Outside of a complete instant rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, I've got no idea. He has got to have that rematch. That's what he is looking towards. They will try and make that. Dana White is not wanting Ankalaev as the champion for long, not with performances like that. They are definitely wanting Pereira back in that win column. And is it feasible for him to do it? 100% yes. But the odds as them being even as they were is a true reflection of what the fight was. And I completely agree with it. Now, to see if Alex Pereira can finish him in that rematch, I think that he definitely could. I mean, he's just got to have a more aggressive game plan. He's got to trust more in that power going forward. Yes, Ankalaev's got the speed in the hands, but I mean, it doesn't matter ultimately overall, because if Alex Pereira gets backed up, he's getting chinned regardless. He needs to be on the forward pressure. If he's backing Ankalaev up, could be a whole different story, but credit where credit's due. I was wrong, and Ankalaev, he is the champion. So instant rematch, that's what we are needing to see. Now moving to the co-main event, we have more of a high, which is Justin Gaethje finally getting back in the win column against Rafael Fiziev, and this was the fight of the night. We can't really argue against that, honestly. This was just a fantastic performance from both of them. I mean, they both looked really good in pretty much every single round. First and third round were extremely close, but that second round, Gaethje knocked him down with that short uppercut, the most decisive round of that fight. And the first round, I'd edge it to Fiziev overall with that volume that he did have, and especially landing that ground and pound and having him in like a reverse triangle position at the start of the round. Yeah, I've got to give him that first round. So the 29-28 I think was 100% correct, which the judging on this card leading up towards the actual top of the card was good. We will get to the bottom of the card in a sec, but that was fucked. So we are gonna go through the rest of this. Now, Gaethje, honestly, just a fantastic performance to come through, especially after such a brutal knockout from Max Holloway, and just come through, win as the underdog. Honestly, upset of the night as well. He did a fantastic job getting this win as a blown out underdog. I did have Fiziev winning this. I thought that he would actually be able to knock out Gaethje, and Fiziev landed some nice shots. He really cracked Gaethje's nose towards the second and the third round, but it just wasn't enough ultimately. And the problem was, you could see Fiziev was getting tired, but around the second to the third round, really drained. And a guy to 11 to 12 days notice after an ACL injury, I mean, this guy needs to seriously get a good fight next. I mean, Justin Gaethje, honestly, for him, we need to see him having a title fight next. He needs to fight Islam Makhachev next. Honestly, the fresh matchup, the UFC is going to want it. The UFC is going to want that fresh matchup. Islam is going to want that fresh matchup. And Gaethje, sure as hell, wants another title fight. So I think that that is definitely the fight to make next, especially since Arman is in the bad books with the UFC because of the weight miss from UFC 311. So this is the option, because it's not going to be Dan Hooker for another fight against Islam. It's got to be Gaethje now. Even over Charles, it's got to be Justin Gaethje. Now, for Rafael Fiziev, who is next for him? The guy is ranked number 11 at the moment, and with what he has done to save that co-main event, needs to be fighting up. He's not fighting down. He needs to fight Mateusz Gamrot. He needs to get that rematch. He needs to try and get that win back, because that fight is just lingering there. Gamrot did look good in their first fight, and so did Fiziev. They looked, honestly, both of them looked even. But the ACL, busting that ACL, was just an absolute killer for him, and he needs redemption. I mean, Gamrot is 8th ranked at the moment. He is 11th. Why not make that fight? It makes complete sense. But honestly, fantastic fight from both of them. Now, looking at the fighter to watch going directly down, we are looking at Ignacio Bahamondes. He really just did in Jalin Turner. I mean, extremely impressive. And if you had Ignacio Bahamondes by a submission, just at all, in this fight, man, you are getting paid good. So respect to you if you somehow managed to do that with Ignacio Bahamondes before this having a record of 1-2 when it came to his submission. Smart idea to get it to the ground, even though it wasn't really him getting it to the ground. It was Jalin who literally from start to finish, Jalin was in control. He was the one that was landing better shots, cleaner boxing, landing good body kicks, got him to the ground, and aside from Ignacio landing some pretty mean elbows from bottom position, it was Jalen's fight at that point, but Ignacio, with that leverage and that unpredictability within getting that triangle choke, couldn't have seen it coming, and he got it done, especially with those long legs. That's definitely what they're used for. So aside from, kicking people's fucking heads off, that is exactly what he needed to do, especially on that ground position, and he got Jalin Turner out of there when they were dry. I mean, just a fantastic high fight IQ play from Ignacio Bahamondes. First Chilean in the rankings. He is a beast. I mean, going and just annihilating Manel Torres at UFC 306, now coming through this, beating Jalin Turner, is now going to be ranked, probably around 13th ranked now. Man, the guy is awesome. And we need fireworks from this guy because he brings it. And who better to give him than Michael Chandler after Paddy Pimblett beats him at UFC 314. That is the fight to make. I think Michael Chandler loses against Paddy Pimblett, goes around that 9th to 10th ranked, and then we've obviously got Ignacio at 13th. Similar time frames. I mean, both of them very explosive strikers. Chandler's got the wrestling, and that can further also prove as to whether Ignacio can get more submissions and even just increase the depth of his game with Michael Chandler's low fight IQ when it comes to submission defense. But it also gives a chance for Michael Chandler to prove that he can not only avoid and take out the really tall, dangerous striker that Bahamondes is, but also just dominate him on the ground and just make it even more of a proving point, especially after what I think is Chandler's going to get submitted by Paddy Pimblett. So yeah, that is definitely the fight to make. Ignacio Bahamondes coming out of Chile. Chile, you guys have got a spearhead. Now looking at our performance and the finish of the night, holy shit nuggets, what the fuck. Mauricio Ruffy is the unwashed Conor McGregor now. This guy is absolutely just full-blown matrix. He annihilated King Green, Bobby Green, whatever the fuck you want to say, however you say his name. Got absolutely destroyed. Round 1, perfect prediction I got for this one, at least that's something to salvage. He did a fantastic job. Dictated the pace from the start. Looked huge, by the way. Looked massive in comparison to Bobby Green. And Bobby, I mean, the guy is skilled, and as I said in the predictions, he's very good against like your Jim Millers, your Tony Fergusons, guys of that age range, but nowhere near at that point to go against a guy that is so explosive and so dangerous and so young in Mauricio Ruffy and has that momentum. Ruffy just looked absolutely incredible. The spinning heel kick straight to the dome just sent him down like a sack of fucking potatoes. Mauricio Ruffy is looking like an absolute killer, an absolute beast. And honestly, who do you give him next? It's really difficult to say because he called out Beneil Dariush. And Beneil, I think we need to get the rematch of Beneil versus Renato Moicano. I think the UFC are going to do Renato Moicano a solid in that, you know, he's literally been pushed up to that title fight with no preparation, saved the UFC 311 title fight, the main event, saved it, and obviously lost in the first round. But I think that they should make that Beneil Dariush fight again for Renato Moicano. He should be fighting up. So I don't think Ruffy is going to be getting that fight, skipping all the way through from, you know, unranked through to the top 10. I don't think that's going to happen yet, even though, honestly, I wouldn't blame it because the performances, not only him, but the fighting nerds are putting on are absolutely fucking ridiculous. They are looking fantastic. But I think what is going to be next for him is someone within that top 15. And I think someone with a bit of clash of styles that has improved their striking recently. And I think that that's got to be Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson, 14th ranked at the moment. Submission king. Absolute beast on the ground. And Mauricio Ruffy, we have not seen him tested there before. It's definitely an unknown. And Grant Dawson, he has been improving his striking. Definitely has been improving. His chin leaves a little bit to be desired. But if Grant Dawson can drag Mauricio Ruffy through those 3 rounds, can Ruffy actually do anything against that submission game? There's the questions, and the questions make the good fights. Now, lastly, let's talk about the absolute shit show that was Mairon Santos versus Francis Marshall. This was absolutely fucking ridiculous. I was literally standing here watching this fight. I had Mairon Santos to win round 2 to start. I won my bet, and I still absolutely lost it. Like, no, take my money away. This is absolutely ridiculous. Mairon Santos got 30-27 clearer than absolutely anything on this planet. Like, absolute clear as day, sunny skies, the whole shebang. Got 30-27 easily. He got dropped. He got out-wrestled. He basically got outstruck. Mairon Santos was like, he was so hesitant. He wasn't really having much output at all. He was not stringing the combinations together at all, as Nixick was saying in his corner. From the 2nd to the 3rd round, nothing was happening. And somehow he manages to win this fight by a split decision. Absolute bullshit robbery. Please sack the judges that were judging this fight, because that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that can just not stand. They've got to at least somehow just give Marshall the win bonus as well. Give him something, because this guy has already had losses in the UFC. This guy is closer to being cut than Mairon Santos, and then he gets fucking robbed like that. I mean, we've seen the UFC cut Taylor Lapulus and Joshua Culibao, guys that are looking good in the UFC. Imagine Marshall getting absolute daylight robbery like this and then getting cut. Like, that's definitely feasible after the cuts we've seen recently. So that shit needs to change. Now, overall, this was a pretty good card, I will say. Could have been a bit better. I think there were some things here and there that just didn't really, didn't really fall into place, especially like the judging. And, there were some great moments like Mauricio Ruffy's KO, but honestly, like a bit of a lackluster main event. Gaethje and Fiziev was fantastic. That delivered, but if we didn't have those prime guys in there, like your Ruffys, like your Gaethjes, like your Fizievs, like your studs, yeah, this card would be dropping off a fair bit. But I do hope you enjoyed the video, and please like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to see more MMA-based content, definitely check out the video on the screen, and I will catch you in the next one.